Well, now, here is the deal. If you earn yourself a salary of 48,000 Kenyan shillings to all the way 200,000 Kenyan shillings, or in other words, if you're watching this from outside the Kenya, it's $380 all the way to $1,800. These are the things that you're not supposed to do. And by the way, do you know what? If you come from Kenya with this kind of a salary, you're regarded to be a middle income sort of a class in this country. Okay, so what does it mean? Therefore, I'm gonna show you some of the challenges that the middle incomers usually face that get them into that what we call the rabbit hole or the rat race. All right, let's get into the business. Okay, now the point number one, and by the way, as I write point number one, don't forget one thing. I always post a video each and every time, and if you don't want to miss any of my good videos, go ahead and subscribe to this channel. It doesn't cost you anything. By the way, it's the only return of favor that I want from you, because I'm sharing this information for free. Okay, then also forget to hit that like button. Let's get into the business now. Point number one, it is something called the curse of consumerism. Have you ever heard of this thing called the curse of consumerism? Okay, the curse of consumerism, it means having this consumer mindset. See, if there are people who have the highest appetite in terms of the expenditure, are people who are regarded as the middle class or the middle incomers. And this is not only applicable in Kenya or Africa, but globally. These are the people who you always find out there. They find the reasons why they should consume their money. And they usually have this mentality, hey, guess what? I feel safe, I'm okay, I'm making money. Probably I was brought up from a family that was a bit less fortunate. Therefore, I'm grabbing the things that I missed up when I was a kid and all those kind of things. It's like they have, it's like they have sort of a revenge with money or something of sort. These are the guys who hoover around. Mostly they're the guys who complain about their governments. They are the people who get taxed a lot. You know why government tax these people a lot? Why? Because these guys usually have this consumer mindset. Whatever there is an increment in terms of the, fuel, or maybe call it gases, however you're gonna call it out there, these are the people who are affected more. And these are the people who makes money trickle down to the, down below people and all those kind of things. So these are the people who usually have this called the curse of consumerism. So if you earning this amount of money, I am not saying that you should never spend your money. What I'm saying is this: justify every occasion that you're actually, spending your money out there. Minimize, if not possible, to eradicate. When I say consumerism, you see, there is no problem with you consuming your money, because obviously you have to pay your bills and all those kind of things for the sustainability. But if you overstretch yourself and again you're consuming, or you're getting things that we call them the nice to have and what have you, this is where the problem is. Okay, now let's get to the second point. Okay, perhaps you might resonate with me. Now the second problem, or the second thing that you never do, okay, it is actually called the life of proving a point. These are the guys who do what? They do life of proving a point. Proving a point. When I say a point here, I mean something like, going out there, buying something in the name of, proving to the other person that, guess what? I'm also stable. I'm also making money. Hey, I'm also employed. I also work with an NGO. I work with a, sort of a company and all those kind of things. For example, if you find your friends are buying a car, even without a justification, even without you yourself being in a situation whereby you can really justify why you're buying that car, you just want to buy a car. Two reasons. Number one, why not? Number two, or, well, these guys are trying to prove to me that they can buy a car, I also can buy a car. And by the way, if you come from Kenya, there are some places where these guys usually live, like sort of the Kileleshwa, Kilibani, and all those kind of, places. They are regarded as posh areas. I don't really like ultra posh, where they live, but at least these are places whereby you find the rent is actually considered very high. They live in those apartments and all those kind of things. So these are the areas where you find these people, they love, funding what we call the status. There is something called funding your status. Funding your status simply means, like, for example, if you tell somebody I am a doctor, or say I'm a lawyer, so there are this expectation that people get from you, like, okay, fine, okay, if you are a doctor, then you are earning this amount of money, hence therefore we don't expect to find you in Kibera or Soweto or something of sort, or in Makoko Islands in case of Nigeria or something of sort. So there is somewhere where they associate you to living with, and because that's what they associate you with, then you tend to live in that places. So you have this what called the social pressure or something of sort. So the point is this: you find these people, they love to live in a life of proving a point. That's why you find maybe in this Christmas, you go find find out. These are the guys whom they go to Mombasa, they have to let you know they were there. If they go to the coast where they want to enjoy themselves, they have to show you they were there. If they buy something in the houses, they have to show you, hey, I bought this thing. If they got themselves a new machine, then they have to show you, hey, I bought this new machine. You know, and they do it in a way. There are two people in there. There are two classes of people in this category. There are people who do it directly and show you, hey, I acquired it, okay? Or there are certain people who usually play it, you know, sort of, you know, I would say humble bragging or something of that. So these are the people who live the life of proving a point. Now, why am I saying you should ever not live this kind of a life? Because you're gonna be funding that character of proving a point. Proving a point here, it means you using money to make sure that you put that point across out there. That will get you in lots of problems because you will ought to. Sometimes most of these people, sometimes they even fake some lifestyle. You cannot be able to afford that, but they're actually faking it out there. Okay, so it is not good to do so. Otherwise, if you continue doing that, you're gonna harm your pocket. Point number 3. These are the people who you find they usually have what you call the inadequate savings, okay? Inadequate savings, you know, inadequate savings. You find these people, the language of savings, the language of future securement or securing their future, something like that, it is never, it does not exist in their vocabularies. Why? These are the people, again, don't forget, they have this consumer mindset or consumerism. These are the guys who you talk about, hey, you're supposed to save 20% of your salary. They ask you, I mean, why would I even save? I mean, I got myself a job. I'm regarded as I'm paying good. I earn a couple of thousands of dollars in a month. So why would I go ahead and think of savings or something of sort? I'm just okay. I'm just okay. I mean, after all, I'm young. You know, I'm 20 something. I'm that something. I'm barely even getting kids. You're talking about savings. I mean, I just throw parties out there. You know, these are the people who chase clubs and bars and all those, you know, entertainment joys. They can tell you where we have a new one, and they are always hovering in those places because to them, they love feeding their ego. They love feeding this, you know, kind of a character whereby they have to prove to people, hey, you guys, you're complaining about the cost of living. Hey, we are not experiencing that on our side. But these are the guys who you find they actually suffer from depression. That's a reality. These are the people, if you were to just not pay them in a single month, these are the people you will find them. This, like, have you ever seen something like a tire deflating? You just deflate, they go back to zero. These are the guys who actually, they can even borrow to consume. You know, we usually call it the consumer debt. These are the guys who can even dare borrow to consume just because they want to maintain that status that is out there. They fight with the reality. They fight with you know, they sort of live in an utopian dream and all those kind of things, okay? So that is another one thing that I've realized with these inadequate savings as far as these guys are concerned. So what are you supposed to do? You're supposed to make sure before you even, you know, incorporate that consumer mentality and what have you, focus on actually going out there and saving at least 20% of your salary, so that at least you can be able to not only secure your future, but also attain that what you call the financial freedom as you progress to the next level. Okay. Number 4, another challenge or something that you should never do is called lack. Okay, lack of diversification in terms of what? Earnings, diversification. You find these people, they only rely on the job that they have. There is nothing else extra that makes them income. If you're employed, as you are. If you're a surgeon, you're a surgeon. If you are a doctor, you're a doctor. If you are whoever you are that. You do not have any other way or means of making money out there. These are the guys whom you talk about money market fund, they don't even resonate with it. You talk about shares, they don't resonate with it. If you tell them about the conventional businesses, buying asset and all those kind of things, they don't resonate with it. They're the guys who just rely on one source of income. And you can just imagine one thing that happened in 2020. I love referring that time because probably if you're watching this video, unless you've been living under the rock, there was something called COVID-19 or coronavirus, and actually a lot of people got fired. And then if you were high, or if you had one source of income, then you got yourself into lots of challenges. What kind of challenges? If maybe where you used to work, for example, the social areas where maybe like the bars and what have you, eateries and what have you, those places were actually banned from people going out there. And if that was your source of income, then you had no income. But if you had diversified yourself into different areas, then it means you ought to have the continuation of source of income into your pocket. Now, at this particular point, these guys, or at this particular point, never ever rely on one source of income. So you ought to diversify. To diversify, it is good to have this concoction of portfolio of investments of different things. Try to acquire yourself an asset somewhere. Try to get yourself a conventional business if you're the kind. Try to go out there and be able to, invest on these soft assets like the treasury bills, bonds, money market fund, shares, stocks, index fund, balance fund, bond fund, rates. All those are ETFs. Those are the areas where you can be able to put your money and be able to progress to the next levels. Find something that you are good at, a skill that you can be able to leverage on, scale it down, monetize it, and be able to make money out of that. All right. For God's sake, you have something that you can share with people. All right. So now that's how you diversify in terms of your income and be able to be, hey, guess what? If one source of income actually shuts or closes, then you can be able to rely on others. It's like we say you have sort of a soft landing. Yeah. That's the point. Now, the other point, number 5, is actually they usually have what we call the job comfort. That one I know may kind of resonate with the previous point, but this job comfort, you find these people, they're just okay. They trust on their jobs, they're okay with it, and they will do anything to make sure that they actually scale the social or the social ladder in terms of that job and something of sort. Well, that I know may actually be of help to you, but sometimes does not overly solve all the problems. Some people who believe, hey, I have to go back to school, get more degrees so that at least I can actually, be elevated or maybe be promoted or something of sort, well, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. So the point is this: it's all good to make sure that at least you do not have this, what we call the job comfort. And maybe perhaps let me just disturb your comfort. Jobs has never, we do not have any track record that job made people wealthy, unless maybe you become the CEOs of the biggest companies. And of course, that means you have to take time or connections. Those are the two things, okay? Now, the point is this: it is good to make sure that at least you invest by yourself. There's something that you ought to have, or you have deep inside of yourself, that can make you be able to make more and more. All right. And number 6, there is something called social spending. Social spending. Social spending, it means like, hey, you have some friends whom you usually actually go out, maybe let's say in a particular time, in a particular area or a particular region, and it means you guys, you have to meet, you have to talk about it, you have to enjoy all those kind of things. Sometimes maybe let's say you have some sort of a little bit of cash crunch, but hey, again, it's a thing that you guys do out there. And this social spending, it's one of the problem that is facing most of these people. And this social spending, I can also call it like peer pressure or something of sort. You remember that peer pressure used to be told when you were a teenager, like, hey, don't hoover around with this kind of a guy, you're likely to inherit this kind of a character, this character is contagion, and all those kind of things. The same case applies when it comes to finance. If you hang around with people who actually talk about spending, going out there, they tell you what the new kid in town in terms of the eateries and restaurants and clubs and what have you. So if you hang around with those kind of people, then you tend to dwell in that area and you actually get yourself into spendings that you never even had a plan of. So it's always good to make sure that as much as the social life will be there, because you cannot be able to live by yourself, like, I don't know, like you live like in an island, you cannot be to do so. So what we do, we live in the midst of the people, but you ought to have the wisdom, the intelligence, and the charisma that is needed to make sure that at least you can be able to say no, you can be able to carry yourself in a way that, hey, you cannot be influenced by anyone out there negatively. And the last one but not the least is that inadequate or no investment. These guys usually have inadequate towards or do not have what we call investments. So these guys, you find they do not find it worthy even investing in their money, because hey, if they were not saving, then by default they ought not to invest. And sometimes you find these guys not only investing in terms of them putting some money somewhere, even investing on themselves, they don't do that. They don't improve on them acquiring more knowledge or something of sort. You find them, they consume, this rumor-based kind of information. Most of them don't even consume the infotainment. But there is a group of people in this middle income that they really strive to get more knowledge so that they can progress to the next level. Anyway, guess what, guys? That's my small 7 powerful points as far as the middle incomers is concerned. So if you're earning that amount of money, make sure that at least you do not do that what I said you do not do, and do that what I said or I found them appropriate for you to go ahead and do something about it. We have to build this Africa of ours by fire, by force. And that's why you ought to subscribe to this channel. And by the way, if you're in a capability or if you're in a position to share these videos to your groups and all those kind of things, bring them on board. We ought to help each other and progress to the next level. And by the way, you're wondering now, okay, Is it possible, Joseph, that I contact you? Yeah, it is possible. My number is always on my description of this specific video, and also my email is out there. You can shoot me an email or you can call me. We can progress to the next level. And by the way, at a personal level, I usually charge for my services for just a cup of coffee's price. For now, it's a goodbye. See you in the next one.